The internet sleuths tracked me down and hounded me and gave me death threats. Some of the death threats have been really terrible online, and told me that I was getting death threats online.
All right, so let's go over some of these alleged death threats and the declaration that she submitted to the court for the Netflix lawsuit. Something tells me that she's not going to be totally honest. Let's check it out. So this is her declaration she submitted to the court that details why she is suing and how the Baby Reindeer series has negatively impacted her life. Now, some of the things she submits on here do appear to be true, but there are other things that are very questionable. There are certain statements she makes on here that need to be verified because they don't really add up. One piece in particular that we'll get to momentarily that looks really suspicious. And of course, I am not saying I know for fact that she's lying. I am just saying that some of the information in this declaration is very vague and appears that she is intentionally glossing over certain details that she doesn't want to disclose for some reason. Alright, so let's get into it. I, Fiona Harvey, hereby declare and state as follows. 1. I am over 18 years of age and I am the plaintiff in this action. I submit this declaration based upon my personal knowledge and, if called as a witness, could and would testify to the matters set forth below. 2. This declaration is submitted in support of Plaintiff Fiona Harvey's opposition to Defendants Netflix Inc.'s and Netflix Worldwide Entertainment LLC's special motion to strike. 3. I was born in Bridge of Allan, Scotland in 1965. 4. I graduated with a degree in law from Aberdeen University Law School, Scotland in 1990. 5. Thereafter, I worked at various law firms. Okay, very convenient here. Notice how vague she's being about working at various law firms. When we get to number 6 here, you're going to see a lot of details, but why not more details for number 5? Because she doesn't want to divulge certain details that would damage her character for this lawsuit. She doesn't want to talk about how she was fired from various law firms and then stalked her former employers and filed a false police report against them just out of spite. No, she just wants to gloss over those, minute details.
And how did she do?
She was dreadful. She was rude to staff. She shouted at people. She was inappropriate with a male member of staff. She tried to follow a male member of staff home. She threw a book across the office and hit somebody with it. I had heard from a lawyer some months before that who phoned me, who'd taken her on. And he said to me that he was in a terrible state because he'd fired her and he went home that night to find 2 social workers at his door.
I wonder why she didn't include any of this in her declaration. 6. In or around 1999 and 2000, I was interested in politics and was a member of the Labour Party. I sought to be nominated as a candidate for Member of Parliament on behalf of the Labour Party, but was never selected as a prospective parliamentary candidate. Unlike the primary process in American politics where the public votes for a nominee, under the parliamentary system, the nominees who get to run for members of parliament are chosen by the Labour Party itself. In other words, I did not canvass or make speeches or run media advertisements seeking votes from members of the public when I sought the nomination. I simply was not chosen by the Labour Party. Wow, she was totally snubbed. I wonder why the Labour Party didn't choose her. Nothing worse than corrupt politics. Fiona should be the Prime Minister by now. 7. Since that one instance, I have never attempted to be a candidate for public office or sought to obtain any position as a public official. 8. I moved to London in 2005, seeking a fresh start after my long-term boyfriend prematurely passed away. Whoa, hold up. This is more fabrication. Now, not only is she being vague, she is also being intentionally misleading. Not only does it appear that she's fibbing about having a boyfriend at that time, but she's claiming she had a boyfriend in an attempt to cover up that she actually moved to London to evade the legal issues she had with Laura Ray. You can see that the story was on the front page of the Sunday Mail, MP Wife and the Stalker. And look at that date, January 30th, 2000. 5 years before she moved to London for this fresh start. And I've talked about this on previous videos. But she submits to the court that she moved to London because her boyfriend of 5 years passed away prematurely. Of course, I don't know for fact that she's lying, but what evidence have we ever seen that she's had a boyfriend? Especially one of 5 years. At the very least, it is worth Netflix investigating and finding out the truth. Because if it turns out that she was lying about the details that she submitted in this declaration for a $170 million lawsuit, then that would indeed be perjury, as can be verified here at the end of her declaration. I declare under penalty of perjury under the laws of the United States of America that the foregoing is true and correct to the best of my knowledge, information, and belief. Executed this blank day of August 2024 at London, England. Signed, Fiona B. Harvey. Also, I made a video that covered a blog article about a woman who worked in a mental hospital in 2004 and said Fiona was a patient. So Fiona also spent time in a mental facility during this period that she just glosses over. The article doesn't specify why Fiona was admitted into the hospital or how long she was in there, only that she was constantly calling the front desk and harassing the receptionist. You can check this video out on my channel if you're interested in more details. So yeah, if she's not telling the truth about having a boyfriend who prematurely passed away, then she has committed perjury. And I'm not factually saying that she did, but I'm saying Netflix should investigate these details to find out.
If the police looked at this, and if you sue, for example, then this will go to a court of law, and then on discovery, people will look into all this.
9. I met Richard Gadd in or around 2014 at the Holly Arms pub in Camden near where I lived and where Gadd was a bartender. Gadd craved attention at the bar. He flirted with me and we exchanged banter. 10. I never knew where Gadd resided during that time period, but he knew where I lived because he had asked me on numerous occasions. 11. I tweeted Richard Gadd in 2014. A copy of one of my tweets is annexed as Exhibit 26. 12. I never had any contact with Gadd outside of the Holly Arms. I do not recall ever being alone with Gadd anywhere at any time. 13. The allegations Netflix made about me and Baby Reindeer are completely false. I never waited for Gadd outside his home. I never had any sexual contact with Gadd. I never attacked Gadd. I never gouged his eyes or smashed a glass over his head. I never stalked a police officer. I have never been indicted of a crime. I have never been convicted of a crime. I have never pled guilty to a crime. I have never been to prison. 14. I am horrified that Netflix includes scenes in Baby Reindeer where I am having sex with Gadd. Well, funny she should say that because I made 3 videos last year going over the emails Richard Gadd submitted to the court for this lawsuit. And there were dozens of emails Fiona begging and demanding sex from Richard. You can check out those videos on my channel if you're interested in seeing those emails for yourself. So yeah, not really feeling like Fiona's being totally honest here. Shocker. 15. I understand that Richard Gadd claims that I once shoved the back of his neck. I deny this ever happened. I also deny pinching his bum. 16. No one from Netflix, including Richard Gadd, contacted me about Baby Reindeer before or after it was released. 17. As a result of Baby Reindeer, total strangers and members of the media began to contact me on or about April 21st, 2024 through Facebook, identifying me as Martha from Baby Reindeer. Exhibits 1 through 23. The exhibits are a fraction of the thousands, I estimate 5 to 10,000 messages I received from total strangers in response to Baby Reindeer. These individuals accused me of assault. Exhibits 1 through 2 and 22 threatened me, exhibits 1 through 2, and told me to delete myself or wished me grave harm. Exhibits 5 through 6 and 16. Individuals specifically referenced the Hang My Curtains tweet. Exhibits 12 through 13 and 15. Others attempted to call me. Exhibits 5 and 11. Okay, I'm going to go over the death threats that she submitted, but first I'm going to go ahead and finish reading the declaration. 18. As a result of being identified and out of concern for my safety, I decided to go on the Piers Morgan Uncensored show to defend myself and explain that while I do know Richard Gadd, I did not do any of the actions that Baby Reindeer says that I did. The episode aired on May 9th, 2024. I have reviewed Netflix's claim that on Piers Morgan I said Baby Reindeer was not me. Netflix has twisted my words. My comment was that I did not do the things Richard Gadd said I did in Baby Reindeer. 19. As a result of Baby Reindeer, I had to close my Facebook account and stopped watching the news for fear of any story about me. I am afraid to go outside out of fear of being attacked. Some weeks I do not leave my apartment. I am suffering from, among other things, constant panic attacks, chest pains, anxiety, nightmares, depression, nervousness, stomach pains, loss of appetite, fear, and insomnia. This stress and anxiety is also severely affecting my diabetes. 20. Annexed as Exhibit 24 is a true and correct copy of a certificate from the United Kingdom confirming that I have never been convicted of a crime. Yes, but as I pointed out minutes ago, you were admitted to a mental hospital in 2004, and we need to know why. Because we suspect it may have been because you did actually commit a crime, but were sentenced to a mental facility instead of prison. We need clarity on this matter for this lawsuit. 21. I declare under penalty of perjury under the laws of the United States of America that the foregoing is true and correct to the best of my knowledge, information, and belief. Executed this day of August 2024 at London, England. Signed, Fiona Harvey. Okay, so here are some of the alleged death threats that Fiona submitted to the court. The first one just had someone simply call her the R word. Ya dog, me to you, effing disgusting. I don't care about the stalking, it's the fact you grabbed his YK. Didn't even do a good job at stalking, for real. Effing stalker, go KYS. Slag, sent from iPhone. Hey. Okay, thus far, these seem to just be insults, not death threats. Did you attack Richard Gadd? Sent from iPhone. Because you're just a stalker. And they'll know everything you've done. And I'm going to send the police to your house. I'm going to get you locked up. Did you stalk Richard Gadd, you weirdo? Be very afraid. Be afraid. Well, it's my turn now. The legendary stalker. Are you the stalker? Okay, be afraid, be very afraid could be construed as a potential death threat. It's definitely alarming, but it's also very vague and is not a concrete death threat. Most of these just seem to be calling her a stalker or asking if she's a stalker. You missed a call from blank. Watch Baby Reindeer 2, amazing show. Oi, you fat, pasty-chested brick shithouse. I hope you get publicly blank. Toodle pip. Okay, again, hoping you get publicly blanked could be deemed a potential death threat, and it's a terrible thing to say, but saying you hope something bad happens to someone isn't the same as threatening to do it. You're a psycho. You deserve prison. K yourself. Baby Reindeer, huh? I can stalk you. Saying K yourself is rude, but it's not an actual threat. It's just insulting rhetoric. I hope you burn in hell, you weird ass stalker. Oh, and your country is a joke. You're uglier than a pile of shit. Get effed, whore. Okay, insulting, but not a death threat. You are nothing. All you do is sit at home on your phone on Facebook like the pathetic C you are. The whole world now knows who you really are, disgusting bitch. You're effing disgusting. You don't deserve nothing. I hope you suffer for years and years. You're a putrid pig. Okay, I'm not saying Fiona didn't get any real messages. I'm sure she did, but you don't deserve nothing, and you're a putrid pig spelled like Y-O-U-R feels a lot like the kind of typos we've all seen in her Facebook posts. Because she has such an extensive history of lying, then nothing is out of the realm of possibility. Woman, you're not beautiful. You're effing ugly and fat. In fact, you should kill yourself. What you did was sick and cruel. Sick old woman, now everyone knows what you did. Now the stalkers will be the whole world. You missed a call from blank. Proper effed in the head you are. You gobshite. How are you going to say Martha is a make-believe character when you literally tweeted, "My curtains need hung badly"? Not only that, Ty Twank, Richard didn't give it identity away. Digital Footprint did. Effing draft C. Okay, again, just a bunch of insults, but no concrete threats. Fiona, now that I've messaged you, are you going to stalk me too? And before you say anything, I do not want to hang your curtains, hun. XOXO. Sent from Ifajon. Fiona Harvey is a freak. Are you the stalker baby reindeer is about? Did you get your curtains hung? You are one fat, ugly, effing, unlovable cow. Croak, B. Okay, telling someone to croak is harsh, but it's not an actual death threat. You are her, LOL. You're Martha. OMG, Martha, I mean Fiona, is that you? Sent from iPhone. Are you the stalker from Baby Reindeer? You should watch Baby Reindeer on Netflix. It's about you. Please see my message. Were you Richard Gadd's stalker? Hi, Fiona. Are you the girl from Baby Reindeer? Wow, these are some very polite death threats. And then this one says the R word dog. Why did you do that to Richard Gadd? So weird. Alright, so that was all of the alleged death threats that I found Fiona submitted to the court in her declaration. Okay, so Fiona claimed to have gotten 5,000 to 10,000 messages, and those were the worst of the worst. And yes, there were a few alarming messages and a lot of insulting messages, but no actual threats. I didn't see a single message that would qualify as a concrete death threat. Not a single one of the 5,000 to 10,000 messages. And by the way, 5,000 to 10,000 messages is a huge gap. I could see saying you had 5,000 to 6,000 messages or 9,000 to 10,000 messages, but 5,000 to 10,000 is a huge difference, and you should have a more precise estimate, which of course just lends to the suspicion that she's embellishing on just how much she fears that her life is in actual danger. It looks to me that she was bombarded with mostly curious messages and a lot of insulting messages, which would fall more under the annoying category than the dangerous category. Yes, she was getting harassed online, but her life wasn't actually in danger. And she's only making that claim in order to try to build her case for the lawsuit against Netflix. Where's the evidence that when she stepped out of her apartment that she was mobbed by a bunch of people threatening her? Realistically, she could probably go out in public and be perfectly safe, and that once in a while someone would recognize her and curiously observe her from a distance. Someone may shout something at her from a distance. Someone may approach her and ask her a question. But I highly doubt someone is physically attacking her at the grocery store as she's trying to find the cheese scones in the aisle. Worst case scenario, she may be approached from a news station or newspaper or something, and that would be annoying, I agree, but not life-threatening. I think she's just trying to milk this for everything that she possibly can in the lawsuit.